Hate to see it botched? Here's the best bits, a Botching It Up podcast short clip.
So where do we even start with this, Ben? Because we could quite easily have a 10-part series on Ric Flair if we were allowed to.
I want to start with an article you sent me, which was a study into why rappers have become so fascinated with Ric Flair, and they use his imagery, they use his catchphrases, and the argument was trying to make the point that Ric Flair is a symbol of counterculture, standing up against your parents. That's the big one. It said that he was a gifted athlete as a teenager, and he defied his parents by going to pro wrestling instead of staying with track and field or baseball or whatever. And in the same way, a lot of rappers have that same prejudice that their parents don't want them to go into the music industry and they have to defy their parents to make it big. So Ric Flair is almost like an icon to aspire to.
That's one valid point. I would also attest to add to that. I've got 5 points as to why Ric Flair is the greatest of all time and why Ric Flair has impacted the earth.
I was going to say, I make no argument that he's the greatest of all time. I would definitely put him on that list too.
Talking about the rap article, it's one of the 5 points that I've got as to why Ric Flair is so important, and it's the aesthetic, it's the lifestyle, which goes into other headlines that I've got regarding Flair, but it's the suits, the women, the watches, the cars, the lifestyle, the alcohol. Like, he represents what rap represents before rap represented it.
Well, the easiest way to put it is he was a booler before booling even existed.
I mean, it shows. Have you been on Spotify and typed in Ric Flair?
No, I haven't.
I did that the other day, and there's at least over 50 songs just with his name in it that starts with one of his promos and then goes into some form of rap music.
Well, Killer Mike, one of my favorite rappers, has a song, like a tribute dedicated to Ric Flair, so I don't doubt it at all.
So I think that's the number one thing. That's the first thing that we can talk about that sets him apart. You think of any other professional wrestler from the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, or since, who had that level. I mean, I know it's stereotypical, and I know it's been gone over hundreds of times, but styling and profiling, man. I can't think of a single other wrestler who dressed in those Armanis, who had those crocodile shoes. He basically said in the documentary that he was giving away free promotion to some of the biggest tailors in the country and some of the biggest shoemakers in the country every single week. And you would check it and you would look at it and you can see it on TV and it's real. And that's what the first thing that sticks out for him from anybody else. We both know this, but just in terms of fashion, it's not a gimmick. You can quite clearly see that's a Rolex watch on his arm. And suddenly, if you believe that if you know that that's a Rolex watch on his arm, what else is he not lying about?
You say it's not a gimmick. He's even admitted himself it was a gimmick to start with. The Nature Boy was a take on, was it Buddy Rogers?
Buddy Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, he was the original Nature Boy, and when he was a young wrestler, he wanted to mold himself and have a better character to help push his career. But during the late 80s especially, the gimmick became the man, and he became what you saw on TV.
Yeah, the lifestyle is the lifestyle, right? And you can't fake clothes. We've seen some awful dodgy suits in wrestling history, people pretending to dress up for a particular reason. And another thing with wrestling is it's always out of style. Always. There were mullets galore in the 90s. There were fanny packs galore in the 2000s.
Oh, Sting has like this awful rat tail going on in the early 90s.
Flair's the only one that always looked like he was with the current moment. And that's another very important point about Flair. When he was in 1984 or whatever, he felt like he was in 1984. As much as Eric Bischoff wants to say anything else, in 1998, he looked like he was in 1998. He never lost touch. He never lost touch of everything going around him, and he never lost touch in popular culture.
I think the easiest way to see it as a visual point is his hair. back in the 80s, my God, the amount of hair that man had, and it was always styled. But then by 2004, he's like inches away from a buzz cut. So as the decades go on, his hair is getting shorter
Yeah.
and shorter and shorter, but still always styled, because obviously it has to be.
Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother.